Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Turn 5 podcast, where this week we will be reviewing the support races from last weekend's Hungary race, and we'll be going through our mid-season review for Formula 2, Formula 3, and W Series. I say mid-season with air quotes because, much like Formula 1, this is the mid-season break, but most series we aren't actually halfway through yet. So without further ado, let's dive straight into Formula 3 and a certain younger brother dumping it on pole, but with a grid penalty.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's not been the perhaps the star of the Primers that we thought he'd be, has he? But he's had a lot of drives where he's come from 30th on the grid and finished like sort of P12, hasn't he?
Yeah,
So
it's
him on pole.
He's very much said that his qualifying is where it needs to improve, because other than that, he's been driving the wheels off that car. But the problem is you don't want to be starting 30th in a Prema. So, but
compared to Dennis Hauger, who's I think he's leading the championship.
Yeah, quite a long way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a long way.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
It's about 50 odd points, isn't it?
He's almost double the next guy's score.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when you look at his teammates, Hauger and Caldwell are both outperforming him.
Yeah, they've had, obviously Hauger's had a couple of wins. Caldwell, I think he's definitely had a couple of podiums. I'm not too sure about wins, but he probably has.
15 points for a sprint race win.
Yeah, he got that one in Spain where like all the leaders kept taking each other out.
Sprint race 2 was a win, and then he's had a podium in Spain as well, 2 podiums in Austria, and another podium in Hungary. So
yeah, I think Hauger and Caldwell are both pretty consistent, like consistently staying at the top, where Arthur Leclaire is like qualifying at the bottom, but then making his way up to like halfway. So like,
I mean, Hauger's been ridiculously consistent. I think he's only won. I think I heard there's been 9 winners out of 12 or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of different race winners.
Yeah, Hauger's only won 2, and yet he's more than 50 points clear, isn't he?
Yeah, he's probably had
63 points clear at the top.
Yeah, and I don't know how many rounds we've got left, but that is pretty unassailable.
Actually, we've got just 3 rounds left. So we are there's 7 rounds in the tournament apparently. So I thought there was 8, but there you go. So we're sort of, I guess the end of sprint race 2 was the halfway distance of Formula 3 this season. So we're just over halfway in Formula 3. Arthur Leclerc has actually only scored in 3 races.
Didn't he win one of them and then that was his first points?
Yeah, he won the second sprint race in France to get him off the mark, and then didn't score again until the second sprint race in Austria, and then didn't score again until the feature race in Hungary. Whereas Dennis Hauger has literally only not scored in 1 race.
Yeah, the thing is with Hauger is, he's the way it works with the reverse grid, you're always like in the pack at least once or twice, aren't you?
Yeah.
But you've got to be cautious and play the long game. But his overtaking has been so good. Like in Hungary, the sprint races, he picked up a few points in both the sprint races by passing a few cars, and then obviously he won, didn't he, in the wet? So
in the changeable conditions.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one for that. And then the Formula 1 obviously followed, and well, we discussed that last week, so go and check out that episode. But yeah, so I mean, when you're looking at the consistency, and you've got Dennis Hauger not scoring in 1 of the 12 races we've had so far, and then second place Jack Doohan has not scored in 3 races, and then third place Ollie Caldwell has not scored in 2 races. It's that being in and around the top 10 at the end, at the start of race 1, that really propels your weekend forward. and that's what Arthur's been lacking. So I don't know. I feel like
the only reason like he really won that race was because of reverse grid pole, wasn't it? He managed to make his way up.
He dumped it on pole in quali.
Did he? I thought
he took his grid penalty for the first sprint race.
No, for the race he won. I swear
sprint race. In France.
That was reverse grid pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that though, I think he started on reverse pole because he went from the back to
12. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He's either 30th or first.
Yeah.
Every time for whatever reason. I'm not sure if it's down to bad luck or penalties.
I don't know. I think he's just not quite clicked with the car yet, and he's finally managing to get there. But I
can't imagine he's legitimately qualifying last.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
No offense to any F3 drivers, but some of them at the back are never actually going to beat him on pace. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no. I mean, especially when you look at where his brother's at, and it's like he's got a wealth of knowledge that he can just tap into.
Yeah,
and that's
his brother's at every race he's at. So
his brother's been there, done it, won the championship. So why not tap into that font of knowledge? I mean, yeah, that was back when the tyres were... Wait, are they still on the smaller profile in Formula 3? I think they are, aren't they? Yeah, so yeah, we haven't even had the change of profile in tyres like Formula 2, so he can still relate to it.
So at the same time, there's also so much Charles can help with, because at the end of the day, it's Arthur that is driving the car.
Yeah.
So like, there's only so much Charles can help with, like with driving style, but it's Arthur that needs to put it into
as much as it is a good font of knowledge. At the end of the day, he just becomes like an extra race engineer / race coach. So, and I mean, Charles is basically a race coach to Arthur. Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, he's in the Ferrari Driver Academy. He's got Prema. That's basically like the Ferrari junior team.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to be like short on knowledgeable people to ask questions to.
Apart from Dennis and Oscar Piastri, it's like the Ferrari junior team.
Yeah.
So. I mean, it's always the way in the junior series. The knowledge of the tyres is so important.
Like, we've seen that in Formula 2.
If you can get them into a window, then it's brilliant. But I remember it was in the first race, wasn't it? I think Doohan literally like hit the cliff because he had a couple of lockups. And that's someone he's in his second season, isn't he? I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah. And you always hear about like the second season so important. Once you've got past that rookie stage, you know how the tyres work.
Yeah.
But it makes a massive difference. But even for someone like that, as soon as you lose the window of the tyres, you're in big trouble.
But it's the losing of the window, and if you lock up and you get a flat spot, if you then keep locking up, you're just self-perpetuating your own problem. And in sprint races and feature races that are as short as the ones that you have in Formula 3, because they don't normally stop in the feature race in Formula 3, do they?
No.
Because it's not actually that much longer than the sprint race.
They don't stop in any of the races, do they?
So when you're going from start to finish on one set of tyres and you flat spot it into turn one, that's a big problem. And when you no longer have that sort of, I guess, safety blanket of the rookie term to cover you, then it's sort of people will start throwing questions about have they really got what it takes. Because I mean, it's a cruel world, and little things like that will make a difference in people's judgments of who gets a seat and who doesn't, because the competition is just that fierce.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I know it's obviously all spec cars in F3, but it makes a big difference like what team you're at. I mean, obviously Prema are generally the top team nowadays, aren't they?
They won every championship they were in last year, didn't they? Yeah.
The cars might be spec, but you can still tweak the aero, and they've got the guys that know this spec inside out.
I think it's like Prema and ART are like the two top teams you want to be at.
Yeah, you look at Logan Sargent came second last year, didn't he? Lost out the last race, and now I don't know why he stayed in F3, but he's at a considerably worse team.
Money. He didn't have enough money to stay with Prema. To move up, and they didn't have the space in Formula.
I guess Formula
2 because Oscar won, so obviously he was going to go up.
then
but
it's
he
still
just didn't have the money to stay
Yeah.
with them.
it's just a waste of a year, and he's now, he's in the midfield, isn't he? All
Yeah.
of a sudden. And I think it was Ralph Schumacher said that he made a mistake putting David Schumacher in. Can't remember. I never remember the teams, but he's got him in a better team this year, which
I think,
that's
was he, where is he this year? He's in
Trident, I think. I think he's at Trident this year.
Yeah, he is at Trident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ideal, is it, when it's meant to be all equal? But
I mean, it's all about
Well,
how
it
you
is.
unlock the car, isn't it? So
mm,
I guess the more you spend and the more personnel you've got, you can throw at it, then the better you're going to do, aren't you? But
Mm.
the spec only goes so far, and I think W Series have sort of nailed spec really, because they don't even have teams, so there's no team budget to throw at it. So,
Question: I know, but W Series, they have the teams now.
yes,
Is that
just-
just to, like, to keep the engineers with the driver and just to say they have a team?
it's literally it's just so that to avoid confusion on the graphics, because last time out all the cars looked the same.
Oh yeah.
So now we've got 9 different teams, 9 different liveries, so that it's slightly easier to follow the action. Keeping the race engineers has just been one of the things that I guess they asked for, and it just means that they have a relationship that they can build up. But in terms of teams, it's very much just
it's just the name
a
and the
plastering
colours.
over.
Yeah.
It's just a paint job. There's no actual organization behind these things. Most of the team names come from series sponsors. So one of them is Puma. So they have a Puma team, but they're not actually, there's not actual Puma personnel funding it, and all of their money goes into the whole series.
Yeah.
And then, so.
And Veloce, because Jamie Chadwick is managed by them.
Yeah. So it's all the main series sponsors that just put money into the series, and they get it. So I mean, we have Scuderia W.
Yeah.
So but yeah, they're very much a spec series, and I think they're doing very well for it, to be honest. Oh, right. Sprint race 1.
Johnny Edgar broke down, didn't he? Which was heartbreaking. So he held the lead, didn't he, for half the race, and then got overtaken and his car broke down, which was very sad.
Wait, is there a feature race in Formula 3? Because all the races are the same length for the Hungarian.
Yeah, there's technically 2 sprint races and a feature race, but they're all the same length.
They just have race 1, race 2, race 3.
Yeah, but the points are different.
Yeah. I guess you qualify properly for the feature race. So
it makes sense.
Mm.
We were talking about Arthur Leclaire, and with his grid penalty, it was a 3-place grid penalty.
5.
Okay, so he's managed to get past 2 cars because he finished 13th.
Yeah, Hungary.
Yeah. Well, that's something we saw quite a lot with the support series, especially W Series. It was a lot of close racing, but there wasn't a lot of overtaking going on.
Yeah.
So, which was kind of sad, but at least it was close, and that meant if somebody did make a mistake, then there was an opportunity. It's just the fact that nobody seemed to make a mistake. Bottas.
Alonso.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Alonso drove a very wide car for 10 laps and then locked up into turn 1. But
Bottas done the formation lap,
So is Iwasa was that the 9th different winner we had? Or was
Colombo won and got a penalty.
Yeah. So Iwasa was the 8th and Nannini was the 9th, and then Jack Doohan took his 2nd win of the season. So it's just, I think it's good that there's so many different winners, It shows you how close the series is. I mean, you compare it to Formula One, and who have the winners been? Max, Lewis, Checo. That one time that Max's tire just exploded when it was probably just gonna be Max. So
And Ocon.
Ocon when Bottas went yeah yeet.
Bowling time.
So yeah, it's pretty much just been Max and Lewis, isn't it? So
yeah,
to have 9 different winners in 12 rounds is pretty good going.
You get from a spec series and with reverse grids, I guess.
Yes,
but
which I kind of want to just go off on a slight tangent and say, after the summer break, after Spa, we have Sprint 2 in Monza. I think it's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why can't we introduce reverse grids for Formula One? Because that would at least bring something to the table. Because we saw it with Silverstone, that pretty much turn 1, that was it. You could have pretty much ended it on the end of lap 1 and gone, congrats, you've won. You will now start on pole. So instead we had like half an hour of just, oh, is he going to? He's not going to. Oh. So
I think for the midfield, it's like kind of close.
I mean, Alonso just went.
Yeah, like
So,
for the midfield, it's kind of close. But other than that, it's like there's no point to this.
Yeah, which is why I want reverse grids. Top 10, bosh, done. Adds a bit of spice.
Yeah, I think they only really work in spec series like Formula 2 down, really, because it'll just be like Lewis and Max just.
Yeah, but it forces them to make the overtakes. That's the thing. Because at the minute, they're not having to do anything at the front of the field. They're just driving away.
True.
Blue flags.
Apart from Hungary.
Yeah, apart from Hungary. But in terms of just like in the sprint race in Silverstone, it was just those two and adios. So, if you chuck them, because let's face it, they're gonna qualify first, second, and third sort of thing. So they're going to be 8th, 9th, and 10th on the grid. You chuck them 8th, 9th, and 10th on the grid in Monza. That's going to be fun, because that means you'd have like Lance Stroll on reverse grid pole.
It could be George Russell.
Could be George.
If you do,
could be Seb.
The 10.
Yeah.
In qualifying, if you do like Q3, just don't do a lap. You're starting on reverse grid pole.
Yeah, but then
I don't know. They'd go for reverse pole rather than trying to quote. The midfield would go for that rather than. So I just don't know, like, say, what if Russell got like, or someone like that got points as a result of the reverse grid pole? I mean, it would just be a bit manufactured, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's manufactured entertainment, which is what pure.
I think it needs work. But the way they do it in Formula 3 and Formula 2 does work, because you still have an incentive to qualify on pole because you start the feature race on pole. So I don't know whether they just need to change sprint to be an actual sprint race and award some more meaningful points than 3. Because that was an interesting fact, actually. Max Verstappen was the first driver to get awarded points on an F1 weekend where he didn't complete a race lap.
I was trying to remember what it was like a couple of minutes ago, but I just could not for the life of me. I was like,
which is just kind of sucks, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, he got 3 points. Yeah, he didn't even make it through turn 10.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we're sat here, well, probably not sat here in 15 years' time.
Oh, God.
But you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And we have a format that's like F2 and F3 now in F1. It just wouldn't. There's so much change that happens, isn't there? If you think about it, the sport's going to be completely different.
Go back to the 90s. Even that's fairly different to what we've got now. I mean, even qualifying for Formula 2 and Formula 3 is drastically different to what we've got in Formula 1.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one day. And
If
we've
they
got like a
if they do actually bring in sprint races for a whole season, I think they should do reverse grid for that.
yeah, they would surely.
Yeah.
If
You've
they
got
bring
that
in
too.
sprint races, you'd have to do reverse grid, but Sunday's race still starts qualifying order.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it
like
would be similar
like-
to.
yeah.
So
But and then it also like with the Formula 2 guys who are moving up to Formula 1, it's not as big as of a change because they already have to change to like adapt to the amount of races in a year.
yeah,
And
they have a
so,
vast amount more practice sessions as well.
yeah, and then it like all
It would also
words
benefit
gone.
them in a way, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it would benefit them because then they won't have to adapt as much because
Yeah.
they'll just be going from 3 races to 1. Well, was 2 races to
Yeah.
1.
and then you think about if they did a sprint and a race, you'd have more race laps. So drivers are more likely to probably improve somewhat quicker.
Yeah. Especially the
In theory.
rookies. In theories, yes.
Yeah.
The rookies would definitely improve a lot more.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
could-
think
but
about
then they'd also be in pressure more. So then you'd see
Yeah.
like Helmut Marko be like, "You done nothing in that sprint race. Off you go, pal."
Helmut Marko would have already sacked Yuki Tsunoda
Yeah.
and Alex Albon would have been recalled from DTM. Silly season has begun.
He made some stupid comment today as well, didn't he? I can't remember what it was. He was on my
Oh.
timeline.
Honestly,
I
I
immediately closed
Everything he
Twitter.
says is
I
stupid.
completely ignore anything that Helmut says.
I
to
might
be
actually
honest.
mute his name, I think, on Twitter.
But what did he say? Because I'm kind of curious now.
I think
but
it was
I also
something
know it's going
about
to be
Hamilton.
stupid.
Like,
Oh, yeah, it's going to
yeah, it was just some waffle about.
Uh, it's obviously so important it didn't even make it to the F1 website.
Hang on, give me 2 seconds.
Oh, speaking of the
2 secs
F1
dead.
website,
2 seconds said.
Teo Porcher tested a Formula 1 car.
Yeah.
Oh, so did
Oh, no. Beautiful.
I was
Oh
sat out.
my god.
I was sat outside my work waiting for my brother. I looked on things like, oh, Teo Porcher tested. Oh, that's great. Why did Mahavir test?
I honestly thought it was Photoshop. You know the picture of
Yeah.
him with the mechanic. I
Yeah.
thought it was Photoshopped, and I
Yeah.
like just laughed at it.
I
He
saw,
was-
Back about 3 hours later. And I was like, wait, this is
I
actually
saw
real.
a picture
Yeah.
of him in hospitality. I was like, that must be fake. Then I saw his name on the overalls and everything. I was like,
He was a full 2 seconds a lap slower than
oh
Teo.
no. How old is Mahavir?
Oh, God knows.
Well, I'm gonna Google it.
It's just one of those, like, you didn't hack it in F2.
Or anything
Oh,
else.
he's 22.
He must have paid Alpha to get.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
must be so rich.
He wants those kilometers under his belt for a super license that he's never going to get because he's not
He's-
going to win enough races.
He's 22, has been racing in formulas since 2014 and was slower than Teo Porcher, who's 17 years old and has only raced in like Formula 4, Formula 3 and Formula 2.
Yeah, I think it's time he hung his helmet up.
Yeah.
Like
Wait,
I said it before, I'd go and test, but if I was significantly slower than everyone else, I'd call it a day. Like if a team called me up, like if I got a phone call tomorrow from Charoux's racing system saying, "Hey, do you want to come and do a test round Silverstone in an F3 car?"
I am stupid.
Yeah, I'd go. But if I was like 2-3 seconds a lap slower than the benchmark, then I'd be like, yeah, thanks guys, but obviously I'm not cut out for this. Because if I then went into the racing and was that much slower, like, I don't know, Deleda, I'd just be embarrassing myself, really. So
just to go back on what I said, Teo Porcher is 17 years old, raced in French F4, ADAC F4, F3 and F2. Apart from F2, the lowest he's placed is second in F3.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
And that's not even counting karting.
Mm.
So, and
that's a
he's
point.
17 years old. So, Mahavir, get out the sport.
Leave, please. You're just a joke at this point.
By the way, Helmut Marko said
Oh,
he questioned why Sebastian Vettel's punishment at the Hungarian Grand Prix was so severe compared to, guess what?
Hamilton.
Hamilton penalty.
God.
Hamilton.
Because one is in the sporting regulations and one's in the technical
You think when
regulations.
someone's been
Come
around
on,
the
Helmut.
sport,
Know your
someone-
regulations.
when someone's been around the sport since about like 1850,
Since the time the dinosaurs ruled the earth.
Didn't
is
he
a
like?
dinosaur.
Yeah.
Didn't he like manage Jochen Rindt? Isn't that how he got like
I think they
started
were
in the
friends.
sport? Yeah, he had
And he was
something to
around
do with
in-
him.
and he was around in the 60s.
Yeah,
So-
he had something to do with him, but
They were just really good friends. I
oh,
think,
he
yeah.
was a racing driver.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's
Oh,
how he
dear.
lost his eye.
Yeah. Oh, he was in McLaren.
Oh, no.
Non-works McLaren.
Yeah. But yeah.
He's 78. Jesus Christ, going home.
State pension time, boy. In other Formula, well, it's sort of Formula 3 news. I don't know if you guys saw it. British Formula 3 lost its case to keep the Formula 3 name, so has now immediately been rebranded to GB3.
Doesn't the logo look a lot like Oscar Piastri's logo?
You know, I
s-
haven't actually seen the new logo. I know they
I
raced at
swear-
Snetterton this weekend.
I swear someone on Twitter posted that.
It's obviously gone so well because I've Googled GB3 and the first thing that's come up is a digestive aid. GB3 Racing. Oh, there we go. Championship. Motorsport Vision Racing. Yeah, because the FIA, basically all of the other regional Formula 3s are under their umbrella, but British Formula 3 isn't because it's run by Motorsport Vision Racing. So they eventually just got rid of it.
Hold on. Oh yeah, the logo is quite similar.
They haven't actually updated that on their
Hold on.
Oh no, they have updated it. It's
I'll
just
put it in
only
the-
in the thumbnail.
So that's GB3. I put it in the Discord,
Oh yeah.
and that's Oscar Piastri.
I mean,
I know.
yeah, but I think Lance Stroll's is much more like Lando Norris's.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's only so much you can do with initials and a number, isn't there?
What came first? The chicken or the egg?
But yeah, so it's I don't think there's really ever been a situation where a championship has rebranded mid-season. But that was fun for all the graphic designers. Suddenly having to rebrand the entire championship.
Codemasters would take a year.
Yeah, Codemasters just wouldn't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
They would just be they just rebrand the next game.
Just for
If you're
EA,
lucky.
say, we need some more money. Bang.
And then just do nothing and just take the money and run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were at Snetterton this weekend, which was it got interesting because in the run up to it, tickets said British Formula 3, and then the news came out, and then it all got changed to GB3. But all the posters said GB3, formerly known as British F3. So, awkward. They're at they're at Silverstone this weekend. There's racing. And I've got Sunday off.
You should watch the Formula E.
That's a Formula E car.
If I drove a Formula E car, I'd name it Henry. Because Henry the Hoover.
Oh, dear. That took me a while. Oh, God.
I could just see Richard contemplating life.
No, I'm trying to think of there's a certain thing. I'm trying to remember what it was called. The noisy cricket from the first Men in Black film. The little and it's just and then just because that's exactly how my Formula E debut would go. I'd floor it, and then because the torque in those cars is stupidly high, I'd just instantly spin and hit the wall. So I have faith in my abilities.
I mean,
All 0 of them.
because Formula E, Zerka from the Sidemen drove it, and Cara Delevingne drove it, and they didn't crash. So I have hope.
Yeah, the Formula E car didn't look too. It looked like really heavy to turn.
We don't know what settings they were on.
Yeah, they
True.
probably had like.
They were probably going a lot
All of
slow.
the driver assists.
They were probably going a lot slower than the actual drivers, but
Where's the
Driver
racing
AI
line
was
gone?
Driver AI was turned down to 0.
yeah, you see here's Zerka just in the car. Where's the racing line?
yeah.
Yeah, the weather says
Bins
clear.
it.
Yeah.
Bins it in a wall. Well, I didn't have a racing line. What do you expect me to do?
No, just flashbacks.
So, Sprint Race 2. Our 9th different winner in Matteo Nannini. He's in F2 as well this year, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he ran out of money.
Oh, lovely.
I think
Then,
that's why
then he
Jack.
came back in. I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
'cause
that's
he's
why.
in.
That's why Jack Aitken had to be in Formula 2 for a bit because he ran out of money for a couple of races. Either someone ran out of money.
Yeah, it was Petikov. I
Yeah,
think.
Petikov wasn't in
No.
for the last 2 rounds, but Nannini missed the round in Monaco.
Yeah,
Basically, I think
'cause-
Nannini dropped out to focus on F3, but then Petikov ran out of money, so
yeah,
Nannini
so he
came
had to
back.
come back.
Yeah.
Oh, went really well for him.
Mm.
But yeah, so I mean, he's doing all right. He's got a race win under his belt now. Where is he in the standings? He's 9th in the standings.
How
Got
many cars are in F2?
30. 32,
okay.
sorry,
Oh,
32.
Jesus.
Well, there's 32 drivers in the standings. I don't know if I think there's only
Yeah.
30
Oh.
cars.
30, yeah.
I think they've had some super subs at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Hockenbach. But yeah, so there's 30 cars in the given weekend. But to be 9th in the championship, just over halfway, is not bad. He's only on 2 points less than Arthur Leclaire, and Arthur Leclerc is in a Prema. So I don't think he's doing terribly. It's not his only podium finish as well, because he finished on the podium in the first feature race in Spain. So he doesn't score points often, but when he does, it's a reasonable amount. So in Spain, he got a single point in the opening sprint race, then nothing in sprint race 2, but then 15 points in the feature race. Didn't score anything in the Castellet. Didn't score anything in the 2 sprint races in Spielberg, but then picked up 10 points in the feature race, and then a single point in the first feature race in Budapest, the race win in feature race 2, and then nothing in the feature race. So, it's not often, but it's big chunks of points. He's got like 15s and 10s or 1s. So, in a series that is as, once you get past like the top 3, it becomes a lot closer. So like, just a couple of weekends where he picks up an extra podium or an extra 4th place will probably bump him up another couple of places. So
A podium here and there.
yeah, I mean, it's Formula 3, anything's possible.
Just qualify 12.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Who else we've got on the podium? Fittipaldi finished 2nd for Charouz, and Roman Stanek for High Tech. So moving on from Formula 3, we also had W Series this weekend, and once again, it's a circuit that kind of sucks for overtaking. So 1, 2, and 3 from qualifying was 1, 2, and 3 from the race. So yeah, Chadwick just kind of stormed off with it and just kept setting purple laps.
It's a 2-way battle now, isn't it? I think they're 1 point apart.
Yeah.
Chadwick
At the top, Chadwick and Powell separated by a single point. How many rounds have we got left, actually? Okay, we're halfway through W Series. We're exactly halfway. There's another 4 rounds. Spa, Zandvoort, Kota, and Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. So, yeah. I mean, it wasn't really an eventful race. There wasn't a lot of overtaking because it's Hungary. It was mostly down to who made a mistake. And other than that, it kind of finished as it qualified, really. So,
It was
but
close
yeah.
racing.
Oh, yeah.
Clean, mostly, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But
it was good wheel-to-wheel battles when it was. And you look at the times over the line, and fourth and fifth were separated by 0.6 of a second. And this is after 33 minutes of racing. And it's just like, it's down to 0.6 of a second. And then, there's like a couple of seconds, 5 seconds, a couple of seconds, 0.4. So, it's really close when it is, but it's just Chadwick just disappeared off the road and finished 10 seconds in front of everyone else. I don't get it. Like, she's like last weekend, the last race weekend for W Series at Silverstone, she just didn't seem to have the pace. And now this weekend, she's miles in front. Don't know what's going on. In our grand review of support series, I suppose we should wrap up W Series with the standings, really, shouldn't we? Jamie Chadwick leads the way on 73 points, as we discussed. Alice Powell is one behind on 72. And then Nerea Marti is in third on 37. Sarah Moore fourth on 36. It's very close after that. 36, 35, 34, 34. And then there's another jump, and it's 18, 18, 12, 10, 10. And yeah, so there's only 2 drivers that are yet to score a point. Sabre Cook and Caitlin Wood. So
I met Caitlin Wood. I got a picture with her.
There you go.
Just throwing that out there.
So, having discussed Formula 3's coverage this weekend, we didn't actually discuss the championship in a great deal, did we? Should we briefly cover that off? Hauger leads the way on 152, Jack Doohan in second on 89 points, and Ollie Caldwell in third on 86. Frederick Vesti fourth, 80 points, and Smollier fifth on 73. And then it's close for 6th and 7th, and then there's another jump down to Arthur Leclaire in 8th on 44 points. So yeah, I think Hauger has a very strong position there, given that there's only 9 races left. It's very much his to lose, but it's Formula 3 and anything can happen.
I mean, we talk about like the whole situation with like who's going to get booted off the Red Bull seats, and, well, in the AlphaTauri seats, and then everyone says, "Oh, it's Lawson and Vips, maybe Deruvla waiting in the wings." I think you've got to say Hauger's in with a shot now. Really,
I think maybe once he moves up to F2.
Yeah, I think he'll have to cut his teeth in F2 first.
Yeah,
just in terms of super license points.
I don't think there's going to be many. Well, I don't think there's probably going to be any other people who are going to go from F3 to F1.
No, I think
not
super license points have been set up in a way that sort of stops that now.
Yeah, I think Max Verstappen was the last one. No, Lance Stroll. Yeah, he was the last one.
In terms of assuming he does well in F2, because I think this is probably the biggest dominance of F3 we've seen since Charles Leclerc, surely. It's
got to be up there, yeah.
Yeah, from what I remember. It is his second season, isn't it? But still, it's very, very impressive, you have to say.
Yeah.
And
it takes a lot.
He's going to be an F1,
Well, I mean, you'd hope so. There's a lot of people you'd hope. So, I mean, yeah, he's got the right backing behind him to get him there. It's just whether he's got the right backing to keep him there. We've seen how much of a revolving door Red Bull can be. So he's more than likely to get a shot. It's just how long that shot's going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Formula 2. Now, they didn't join us in Hungary, but it's the summer break, so we're covering it anyway. There's 3 rounds of Formula 2 left. No, 4 rounds, sorry. So we are exactly halfway through Formula 2 season. We have Monza, Russia, Jeddah, and Yas Marina left for Formula 2. Oscar Piastri leads the way on 108 points, with Guan Yu Zhou in second on 103 points, and Robert Schwartzman in third on 91. Dan Dictum is fourth on 89, and Yuri Vips is in fifth on 85. So, I mean, one of those top five has, we'll say, got vocalization issues and doesn't know when to shut up.
To be honest, I'd love to see him win it.
I mean, yeah, it'd be funny, but at the same
Make a
time,
mockery of the series if he did.
yeah.
And he's most definitely not getting an F1 seat.
Oh no.
So,
to be honest, like, I mean, the way I see it with him is, I do like him to speak his mind, but I understand he's a PR disaster.
no.
Yeah,
Happen.
yeah. There's
I mean, it is like good that he speaks his mind, but he just speaks his mind too much.
yeah.
I'd love to see him in F1, but
there's a point where you have to kind of moderate yourself and you know, not diss people higher up the food chain than you, because the kings doth on the peasants.
Although it does kind of make sense why he was Latifi, because by then he would have known he was kicked out of the academy.
I mean, this is what
didn't.
he says.
Yeah, but the
it
public
had
didn't.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
I don't
obviously
think he wouldn't have done that.
no, the public obviously didn't know he was kicked out of the academy, but he might have done by then, so that makes sense why he did that.
I mean, yeah, but like, come on, that's so childish.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Like, oh god.
I do find him funny. Like, he treats the team radio like it's game chat on Call of Duty.
I mean, yeah.
Like, he acts the same way on team radio as he does on his streams, and that is getting very angry.
It was the fact that in the same clip that he's taken the mick out of Latifi being a pay driver, that he then gets someone banned from his chat just because he doesn't like their opinion. And it's like, right, okay, you're entering into Trump era dynasties here of fake news, don't like your opinion, get out. It's like, just, there's a point where toxicity reaches a certain level, and I feel like that has been embodied with Dan Ticktum. And I don't feel like he's got too much in terms of what he can say when he has a questionable history, namely overtaking 10 cars under safety car conditions and punting off a rival.
It was his teammate.
Yeah, but either way, they collided earlier in the race and he went, T-bone. So, yeah, like, if you're going to act that stupid, what are you doing? I mean, obviously he hasn't grown up, because the rhymes in his latest stream have proven that.
I mean, if he hadn't have had that 2-year race ban, I think he might have had a shot in F1 by now.
I mean,
because he would have got to F2 a lot earlier. So
I think it would depend on how much he ran his mouth in between, to be honest.
Yeah, true. If he hadn't have acted like this, I think he could have had a shot in F1, maybe with George. Like, when George moved up, he might have moved up as well. But at the same time, like, if that 2 years hadn't happened and everything panned out the same, I think he probably would have moved up to Williams with George. But obviously he had the 2-year suspension, so I think he's just too late to join F1 now, which probably is a good thing for Williams.
It probably is a good thing for the sport. I mean, it's all well and good having someone that goes off on the team radio, and it's quite funny, you know, when Yuki does it. But I think with Dan Ticktum, it's just great so much, because he'd just be constantly over the team radio, because that's what he does in F2.
It'd have been nice to have a proper character in F1,
I mean,
and I think he would have toned it down.
We've got characters in F1. We've just got more of the jovial characters in F1.
He'd have toned it down. Like, you know, you get all the PR training and stuff.
Oh yeah,
To be fair,
would
he
have
is
absolutely told him to shut up.
I mean, even
he's like a nice, genuine guy. Like, I've seen.
Oh my god! Imagine Gunther Steiner as his team principal.
Well, he's got Mazepin.
I mean, yeah, but Mazepin actually looks like they've managed that situation reasonably well, and he looks like an actual human being.
Well, he hung out with Chris Brown the other day, so yeah. Maybe not.
Maybe that progress has been stunted somewhat.
Yeah.
He's been taking some tips
but
on how to throw a right hook.
I have a feeling Haas have just told him, no social media. Just no.
Yeah, just don't post anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd argue what Mazepin did was worse than Tictum.
I mean,
Put it that way, and he got into F1. But then Mazepin got in.
There's sort of three incidents that I think of. There's the Mazepin incident, which is private life, but also very disgusting and questionable. There's Dan Tictum, which is on track and just stupid. And then there's even more
steering wheel
stupid, and that's Corberry in karting, who literally threw his front bumper at someone and had the audacity to appeal the FIA's decision to ban him for 15 years.
And also in Parc Ferme, I think it might have been, he
punched him,
full on ran at his rival.
Yeah, there's a full on assault.
And then his dad came over and started punching at him as well.
So yeah, how that was ever going to be overturned? Never. Like, I'm sorry, there's literally video of you throwing your bumper at him. So yeah, there's sort of three. I guess that's my triple crown of idiotic incidents. Yeah, I mean,
Mark, claps.
Yeah,
you were in the sport.
There's but in football is like actually productive.
Yeah,
that's
you
not,
should be able to get away with.
Yeah, that's not. That's just, well, for lack of a better word.
Sorry about that.
It just is. There's no excuse for that. Any of those three behaviours. So yeah, it doesn't have a place in the sport. I mean, overtaking under the safety car. Perez got a 10-second penalty for that, and he only overtook people. He didn't overtake 10 people and then crash into someone. So, but it's just, yeah. There's certain people I don't want to see in the sport, and while I have to kind of suck it up and accept that Mazepin is here for now, there's, only so far I'm willing to go. And someone with Tictum's A, questionable record, and B, grating personality, I can't be asked for that. And if Corberry ever steps foot anywhere near a paddock, I will throw hands. I don't care. And I don't even live near a track. I will go and find that track and I will throw hands at Corberry, because no. Yeah. Anyone else got anything to add? Who wants to throw hands at anyone?
Just gonna add on what you said, like with Mazepin, like he's in the sport now. We can't do anything about that.
We can complain to an extent, but we can complain it's going to fall on deaf ears.
We can complain on social media, and that's all we can do.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the money talks more than our complaints will. So the
money talks. So he should stay in a bottom team like us.
Yeah,
where he can't get really successful.
Yeah, that's the only team that his dad can afford to put him into. I mean, his dad could probably afford to put him into any team, but like in terms of having the team for his son, that's probably the only team on the grid that is going to happen for. Because you look further up the grid, Williams have just been bought out by Doralton, so they're all right for money. Alfa Romeo have Alfa Romeo money, so they're all right. AlphaTauri have Red Bull money. Alpine, Renault money.
Aston Martin,
Daddy Stroll. Ferrari, they're never going to run out of money. McLaren are sorting out their assets, so they're sort of okay.
Yeah, they're
sorting themselves out.
They're getting loads of sponsors, so I think that'll be good.
And then
Mercedes
and Red Bull. So yeah, there's, in terms of like trying to buy out a team, good luck with that.
Safety car.
Safety car.
We need an 11.
He'd lead more laps that way.
Isn't there meant to be like?
But it'd also crash the safety car. Be like the most ironic thing in the world.
The unsafety car.
Wasn't there like rumors of a Monaco team coming into this sport?
There's been all sorts of rumours like
Yeah.
ever since.
As long as it's
I
not.
mean, as long as
Bad Santa also.
I
yeah,
was going to say, as long as the Monaco's advertising representative isn't the TV director, then we'll be all right. And we might
Lance
actually see
Stroll.
the car.
as long as they're quicker than like HRT and they're not owned by William Story.
Yeah, that'll be it. I want to see the day that a Formula. Imagine the Formula One 2022 regs comes out and all the cars get redesigned and everything, and the Formula 2 cars quicker. Imagine the scenes. Imagine when like the FIA have to like put a restrictor on the Formula 2 engines because the Formula 1 cars are so slow.
Surely that will never happen. Like,
No, it shouldn't do.
yeah.
But it'd be hilarious if it did.
Oh, absolutely.
The 2014 cars were pretty slow, like
This is
comparatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they always go through a phase, don't they? The cars get slower and then they get quicker again, and then
Yeah.
the regulations change, and then it goes through that rinse and repeat.
Imagine the cars are going to get a bit slower with the new regs and like.
Oh yeah, they should be much slower.
Mm.
Just in terms of because they're changing the entire aerodynamic philosophy, moving away from all these fanciful barge boards and just going straight for what they banned in the 80s. So yeah, bit of a U-turn from the FIA there. Only took 30 years. In terms of Formula 2, obviously we're now halfway through the season. It's still close at the top. I mean, I think really anyone in the top 5 could still win this.
I'd say maybe top 3. Top 4th and 5th maybe could get second, but
it's gonna take something to happen to the top 2 for that to happen. But at the same time, you can't rule them out.
No.
I'd back Kramer to kick on, like they always do.
Yeah.
I'd say at the moment my money's probably on Piastri. Zhou's needs his consistency.
Yeah.
See, that was the thing. My pre-season was I think Zhou was going to win, and I'm happy he's up there. He's second. He's only 5 points off the lead, but it's been a very up and down season for him.
He did have 4 races where he didn't score.
Yeah, exactly. But then in the opening round, he took a monstrous amount of points.
Yeah.
So.
But at the same time, Piastri's still a rookie and
he's scoring more consistently. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it could be interesting. It could end up coming down to who has the better reverse grid race and manages to gain one more position than the other. Or it could just be who doesn't have a mechanical failure at any point in the season, which would be sort of heartbreaking to watch someone lose a championship in that way. But at the same time, that's motorsport. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know what the actual rules and regs are with power units in Formula 2 and Formula 3. But that'll be something I'll have to research in between because the wording on those documents is atrociously complicated. So, but yeah, it should be an interesting run-in. I mean, at least we've got Monza to sort of spice things up. There's always a good Formula 2 race around Monza. And then we've got Sochi. I mean, Formula 2 is usually a little bit better than Formula 1 around Sochi. But at the same time, I was just thinking last year there was that massive fireball at turn 3 that Jack Aitken was in, wasn't there? That caused a red flag.
Mazepin.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it should be an interesting run into the season. We've got the unknowns of the Jeddah circuit to comprehend and deal with, whether that actually goes ahead or whether they do the swap around so that Jeddah becomes the last race of the season. We're yet to see. As far as I'm aware, the circuit hasn't actually been homologated yet. So
they got 4 months, so
yeah, they need to get on with it.
Well, just under 4 months now.
Yeah, it's the first weekend of December, so times are ticking. Cody's are like, we sleep You haven't given us a track, so what's
They'll
the point?
probably announce it once it's been cancelled. Well, Codemasters, I'll put it on the game once it's been cancelled,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and then we'll never
yeah.
race on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got Vietnam, but we'd never actually raced on Vietnam. So,
Oh dear.
you know, if they can put Vietnam in a game and we never actually raced it and the circuit was never actually set up, what's taken so long with all the others?
Codemasters, feel free to fix the audio glitch,
There's a whole bunch of glitches. Like,
as always.
if you do, I was doing a driver career in Formula 2 as the fake son of James Hunt, named Mike.
Oh yeah. That's what I have to say.
Driver number 69. Yeah, boy. It's hilarious. But if you do Formula 2, because they only have 2 compounds in a weekend, if the tyre strategy for the race comes up in a certain order, you can't actually run the reverse strategy because you can't change to the other tyre compound because it's like, no, you're already on that compound and you've only got one set of that. And it's like, I just want to swap it over.
Yeah, I've had that. It's
Yeah.
just
It's so
they don't know
stupid.
the rules, basically.
No, exactly. I want to be able to run the opposite, not a 2-stop. So that was our mid-season review, minus Chris's opinions on
And Stuart's documents.
and Stuart documents. Oh yeah,
Every steward's document in the first half of the
Sebastian Vettel's appeal, well, Aston Martin's appeal of review of Sebastian Vettel's disqualification has been thrown out by the FIA. So Vettel's been disqualified. So I can now actually.
It's like
apparently it's still
the review's been thrown out the window, but the appeal's still going. I think that's what it was, because it's still going, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's like 2 different things. I think it
it's
is
been made clear as usual.
the review has been denied. But I think the appeal is still going. I think that's what happened.
Right. Very clear as always from the FIA.
Yeah.
Cheers, boys. Very helpful.
Safnell said that was disappointing and they will now consider their position in respect of the full appeal process. So they can appeal it. It's just that their right of review has now been used. Just as well, we've got another 2 weeks before we go racing again. So it's got time to brew over before we do anything.
Something else will probably come up next week.
Yep. It's silly
George
season
Russell
after all. Valtteri Bottas has been fired.
I mean, George did say he wanted his future over
sorted.
By
we
summer,
probably will get some news soon.
Oh yeah, silly season will probably happen.
That's why I
it's either
going to be for the last week.
It's going to be Mercedes or Red Bull that kickstart it.
Probably Mercedes, yeah. I
think because McLaren have already announced that they've got both of their drivers for 22.
Esteban's staying.
Alpine have got both of theirs.
Yeah.
Stroll and Vettel are on multi-years.
Lewis is on 2 years.
Yeah. Max is obviously at Red Bull.
Yeah. The only thing I could see is Mercedes or Red Bull kicking it off with Mercedes with George, or Red Bull with keeping Perez. Because I see them keeping Perez for like another year or something.
It's one Mercedes, one Red Bull, AlphaTauri,
Williams,
and then the 3 back teams.
Yeah,
but Haas is probably going to be
Haas. Both Haas drivers are multi-years.
Yeah,
I've literally.
There is talk that Schumacher might go to Alfa Romeo, but that's probably not going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
So I've pulled up what's currently available. So Lewis Hamilton's under contract till 23. Verstappen until 23, Ricciardo and Norris till 23, and Vettel until 23. Lance Stroll ongoing. No until. It's just ongoing. Fernando Alonso is under contract until the end of 2022. Esteban Ocon until the end of 24. Charles Leclerc until the end of 24. Carlos Sainz until the end of 22. So
Charles'
the Ferrari
contract from 2019 to 24.
Yeah, it was a 5-year deal.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No drivers have been confirmed for AlphaTauri or Alfa Romeo. Haas, both drivers are ongoing.
Yeah,
and no drivers have been confirmed for Williams.
I kind of see Nicholas staying.
Well,
maybe for like another year.
Possibly, yeah. There's
If,
so
if
many.
they if
Did
they
you-
bring up like a
Alright.
rookie or
Did you,
someone,
did you see the meme I put in the Formula One memes chat?
oh god,
Because it was a report that says Williams don't need pay drivers anymore,
oh yeah.
and then it's just Latifi sweating.
But again, he has scored them points and he's been there for 2 years. So like,
Yeah.
I kind of see him staying for like another year.
Bring back Jack. Bring back Jack. I mean, he's only had one race under his belt, but bring back Jack.
We know he has the super license points.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we'll see. It's obviously going to be a situation that evolves as the year goes on. But that's why I penned it in for 2 weeks' time, in the vain, potentially, hope that something will have happened.
I'm also hoping Callum Ilott gets a seat instead of Valtteri Bottas.
I mean,
Well, or
Ilott,
both.
Alfa
Or
Romeo,
both.
there's
Ideally, yeah.
potential.
I think Ilott is most likely going to get one of the seats because they wouldn't have that many like tests, FP1s for just. Is he even their test driver or reserve driver?
Guan Yu
I know
Zhou
he's
has
for
done a
Ferrari.
fair amount of FP1s.
True, but he's
Sarni.
well, yeah, money.
Cringe. There's Roy Nissany, cringe, and there's Callum Ilott, based. I'm down with the kids. I know this.
Even I don't know what that means. I don't know what based means.
Whoa.
I see it all over Twitter. I'm just like, yep, cool.
Other than that, I think, well, next week, hopefully, we'll have Chris back with us. I'll see if I can wrangle someone in as well. Maybe get Sonia in.
Maybe Mason for the first time.
Maybe, if he ever replies.
I feel bad for Sonia and Mason because they're just in our Discord group chat and they see all
They've got us muted.
Yeah, they see all the messages and everything and all the calls after the recordings and they just ignore us.
I know for a fact that Sonia's got us muted because she
yeah.
didn't respond to the message that I put in until I WhatsApped her.
Yeah, I can imagine they've got us muted.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see if we can grab someone in. Maybe we'll just grab some random listener. But yeah, we'll do our full Formula One mid-season review where we'll go into driver performances, team performances, and where we think things will be going in terms of development.
We'll be reviewing our predictions as well because
yes,
you might be able to see here I've got my season predictions here, so I think we might be going over them as well.
How our driver and team predictions are unfolding as it stands, but obviously with more than half the races left, TBC obviously with races like Brazil in doubt, things are very much subject to change. With that being said, if you have enjoyed our content, drop us a like, subscribe, follow, rate us 5 stars, or whatever the equivalent is on the platform of your choice. Make sure to follow us on social media, on Twitter, Facebook,
That's it.
the Discord server if you're in that, because that's where we drop links to our stuff when it goes live.
Sophie's Discord server for context.
Thanks for watching / listening. Join us next time, next week, and goodbye.